Hi, Sammy here. Welcome to the Funnel Fiesta. Now, today we're going to be talking about community building. Sorry, I am waking up. I don't know about you guys, but it has been the biggest run up to Christmas for me because I have five brothers and sisters. You may not know that about me, but I come from a very large family, and nobody can ever get the time off the same. So we end up having these, they're really fun, but we end up having these like elongated Christmas times where there's usually like more than one like Christmas day where you gotta open presents with a niece or a nephew before they go. So we are just beginning the festivities. And oh my God, I don't know how I'm gonna make it through a week-long Christmas because I love my family, but my goodness, we can party. We can have a good time with each other. And this morning I was just like, gotta talk about community building. But the thing is, for today's topic of community building, there is so much that you kind of want your community to feel a little bit like a family. So I feel like I've already been very prepared for that community feeling. So when you're talking about community and you're talking about that in terms of your funnel, the thing that you have to understand is that your community can be an ever evolving, almost self-sustaining in some way source of leads. Because if you have a super cool community, whether that is maybe a group on Facebook, maybe that is going to be a LinkedIn group, maybe that is a, you know, Pinterest pod or something like that. Maybe you just have a really banging newsletter, or maybe you have a Slack channel. However you create community, keep in mind that once you have a good, solid community, those people in your community become your ambassadors. They give you sources of referrals. They can give testimonials. They also add value. That's what people don't realize. When you have a group, whether it's on Facebook or not, you are not the only draw. The other people in the community are just as much of a draw for others. It's why you see for a lot of these big courses like B School or B Tree Brand U or something like that, is that people go for them not just solely because of the teacher. They go because of the community. It's the same with conferences. So you want to think about your community that you're building, however you're building it, as a place where you are, one, able to set a tone, you're able to share your value, make your impact, whatever you're bestowing. And it's also a place where you want to think about, okay, I'm the host of the party, but who should be invited? Now, of course, for some businesses, this does not apply. If you are somebody who is maybe selling a very dry business-to-business service, like maybe you're selling industrial parts to companies or something like that, and you want to use LinkedIn, yeah, you're not going to build a traditional community, online community, like a community of fans or something. However, you can be someone who takes the idea of this community building, and you can use some of those tactics, maybe in a more professional way, to create your own sort of community, or at least create that vibe where people want to, keep in contact with you because they enjoy the people that you surround yourself with. And that is one of those secrets where people talk about building a community, building a tribe, your audience or whatever, but they don't talk about the fact that there is an alchemy that goes into it, where it's not just you that's the draw. You have to make sure that people want to be around the whole crowd. You want to make sure that you are cultivating a vibe. I feel very strongly about that. I feel very strongly that when you are creating a community, if you make it into just a complete cult of personality around yourself and nobody else, that does not always help you in the long run if you are trying to build a self-sustaining community. And this is something that I think affects a lot of coaches the most, where there's a lot of coaches where, yes, part of being a coach is semi-building a fan club. However, if it's all about you and it's not about what people get from being in the community. It's not about making community connections, showcasing community members, making it so that there is some form of a two-way street. That gets boring, to be honest. Unless you have a high degree of charisma and you are very funny or you're very entertaining or what have you, a lot of times that falls flat. In fact, I've had friends who have asked me for suggestions on life coaches and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, I'll think back to people that I know in groups and stuff like that. I'm like, well, this person kind of tackles this issue. And I send them a bunch of links to live streams because I really don't think that you should pick a life coach without watching some of their content or hearing their voice or something like that. And one of the big things I've heard from a lot of people who aren't traditionally in the coaching world, who maybe have heard about it and want to give it a try, is that a lot of coaches are always talking about themselves. Their groups are just about themselves. It's something where it feels like the people who are watching the live stream or in the community aren't getting anything really out of it. You're not, it's one thing to tell a story about yourself. It's another thing to tell that story and then give people some takeaways, some juicy information. So that's one of the dangers in building a fan club when you're trying to build a business, is that you're not often giving your group members a way to also participate. You're not making it so that, maybe folks who really take a lot of interest in your community, you're not giving them a chance to shine. It's why I have a member spotlight in this community, because I want to make sure that people in the LinkedIn Mastery for Entrepreneurs group, that they get a chance to feel like they actually have participated, that it's not me being like mama bird regurgitating, LinkedIn into their mouth, that they're actually able to feel like they can, be an expert, like they can give advice. And that's what you want to make sure in your community, whether it is going to be online or maybe you're doing an in-person meetup. You have to make sure that everybody feels like they're able to get value and then take value, because you also don't want to cultivate a community of just takers. You want people in your community who want to give. Why does that help you? One thing is that when you have a community of people who feel like they're engaged, who have ownership over that community, they start helping each other out. So that means that it feels lively in your community. It means that you're not the only one answering questions. It means that when you are maybe you're going to take a weekend off, you know that there are people in your community that might answer some of the softball questions, or will be willing to tag people and things. That is one of the fabulous things about some of these long-running communities that I've seen online, is that when someone asks a question, oh, I really, I thought there was a course, blah, 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 it maybe had a title like this, one of the images was green, somebody in the community would be like, oh, you mean this course, you can find it here, and we'll do a link. That's an awesome thing for somebody who is a leader of the group, where you don't have to be the one who's responsible for all those things because the group is moving together. What does that also mean? That also means is that if you create a group of a community, a squad, I like to call mine a squad, a tribe, an audience, whatever, is that they can be people who are doing the most effective promotion that you can have. What is that? Word of mouth. Word of mouth is going to be more effective promotion than Facebook ads, than freebies, than pretty much any bit of content that you have, because once somebody says, hey, that person knows their stuff, and they're telling their friends, and maybe they're in groups that you're not in, they're in circles you're not in, and they're letting people know, oh man, this chick's awesome. That is the sort of social proof that you want. And that's the kind of social proof and that sort of social, it's almost like a street team. Like if you have a band, there's a thing called a street team where you send like a group of fans or band members or whoever, family, friends, loved ones, well-wishers, and they go out into the streets and they're sticking stickers on stuff, they're handing out flyers, things like that. You can create your own online street team, and a lot of that comes to do with community building, because once you can actually make a good community, that is a self-sustaining organism, where it's something where You can cultivate leads in that sort of community. And not only are you cultivating them, you have other, maybe more established group members who are welcoming new people. They are creating a vibe. They are there to, like, you know, say, yeah, I love your stuff. You know, they're able to be those people who are hype men for you. Not because you paid them, but because they want to. Another reason to think about community building and how and incorporating that into your funnel and everything like that is that that's another way to reach people. Some people do not want a DIY course. Some people do not want to work alone. Some people want to have that human interaction. And if you have part of your instruction or your learning style to include some sort of group interaction, there are people where that's what they respond to. If you've noticed with my freebies and a number of others, you know, who have content backlogs, is that you'll notice that they will have audio content, they will have written content, they will have video content, they will have group content, they will have this interactive content. Why? Because those are the different learning styles that people have. That's how you kind of can grab other people. And if you have a bomb community that people like to be in, that you like to be in, that is a perfect place to have challenges, to invite people. Like, not everybody wants to get on your mailing list, which I've focused on a lot in this funnel fiesta, because owning a list, having an email, that's something where it doesn't matter what Zuckerberg does with an algorithm or Microsoft does with a LinkedIn interface change. You're fine. However, not everybody wants to give you their email. That's just the truth. Some people would rather have a way where they can connect, but not have you throw a bunch of, you know, emails at them. That's why having a community, whether that's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Slack, what have you, Mighty Networks, that is a way for you to kind of like start with people where they might be interested in you, but they're not ready to give up their email, or maybe they're just not somebody who does that. Maybe they don't want to do a mailing opt-in, but they like having your posts in their feed on whatever platform. That's one of those awesome things about a community, is that it adds sort of like another layer to your funnel, as opposed to awareness and they know you, they're learning you, and then that opt-in space, there is that space where your group can be for those people who, let's face it, some of us need to have to like have more interaction with somebody before they buy. I'm like that. I did not buy one high-end program until I had been in that person's orbit, checking out their content, reading their emails for like 3 years, because that high-end program was a lot of money. And frankly, I know too many people who don't do their research, don't understand what they want, and then they invest really heavily in a course that's not going to work for them. So I'm a cautious Kathy like that. And there are other people who are like that too, that want to feel your vibe, who want to watch a couple of your videos. They want to see your content. They want to see the professionalism in which you just do stuff. Of course, there's some people who, they just like Facebook groups. They don't want to give you their email because they like a Facebook group, so you might as well have a place for them. There's a lot of different types of motivations that your audience will have when they want to consume information, when they want to learn something, when they want to get a service. So you, of course, need to make sure that you are thinking about that. Where does my client already hang out? How do they like to have their communities? If you, like, for instance, for me, I've often thought about this, okay, maybe the next step when I try to do community building, because I found that my career group that I had, because I do career coaching, Facebook wasn't the place for that. Facebook groups do not provide the sort of high-end career coaching clients that I go for, because I go for tech specialists. You know what does? Slack. I've hosted and moderated and done a lot of events for other people's Slack communities, but I haven't made my own. So that's probably going to be another thing in 2019 to think about for my own benefit, is to create like a Slack community, because I know that's what tech professionals like. That's where they hang out. They're already on Slack. They like that. Now, if you are somebody who might be a mindset coach for entrepreneurs, then yeah, you're going to be a Facebook person, because you're going to find a lot of your clients there, especially if you're helping newbie entrepreneurs. So you have to think about where your people actually already hang out, and where you can slip on in, because the mistake that people make with community building is that they know where their audience is and then they try to take them off platform somewhere else. Most of the time, your people don't want to go there. They don't want to go from Facebook to Mighty Networks, you know, that's not their thing. So you're going to want to make sure that you kind of slip into where they already are, because if they're not going to get into your email, then it's doubtful they're going to go with you to another platform. So you want to make sure that you're always kind of creating these communities where they already are, because that's going to be easier to get them in. Another thing to think about is that when you're creating community, make sure that you're appreciating your community members. Have spotlights for them, have shout outs, you know, do something that gives back. Don't have it be a community where all it is just a never-ending stream of promotions. Because if your community doesn't feel like a fun or valuable place to be, no one's going to be there. There's a lot of folks who have really dead groups, and you want to know why? It's because they have just at best, maybe they have a forever running schedule of theme days, you know, and nobody's posting, except Recur Post still has all of these theme days go on forever, and they only post in there when they have an offer. They only post pitches, etc., etc. The group's filled with randos that they might have added against their will. That creates a dying group. This group, I have not invited anyone to this group. This group is completely created from volunteers, because why send like invitations to friends and family who have no need for my services to be in this group? They're not like mine. They might like me, but they're not people who need this service. And that's where a lot of people go wrong with their groups. So a lot of people complain about being added to groups against their will, because there are people who think for some reason if they Shanghai and force people into their group that somehow those people will want to buy from them afterwards. No way, Jose. That's just not how this works. In fact, you might have where I actually saw one lady that I think she's really funny. Her name's Lisa Jane. Somebody and she does branding and all sorts of stuff. Somebody just like added her randomly to a branding group and a marketing group, and it was something where she could tell that it was a new group, and this lady just added everybody to it. And she did a post saying, hey, you know, this adding people, forcing people to be in your group, this is actually really a bad tactic when it comes to community building and trying to create that know, like, and trust factor. If you need help with this, I am actually a mark. So she pretty much was added to this group and then promoted the crap out of herself before the lady blocked her and pulled her out. See, that's the thing. That's what happens sometimes when you're not paying attention and you're just randomly adding people. Most people will just quietly remove themselves. Some people are like, oh, girl, I'm going to make a scene up in this place before you kick me out. That's why you never know. And that's also why you want to make sure that everybody who's going to be in your group is going to be someone who is likely to buy or is interested in buying or has a problem that you can solve. I have the same fundamental philosophy when it comes to my LinkedIn profile. Everybody who's connected to my LinkedIn profile, those are people who are likely buyers. Those are people who can actually and might actually and can pay and are interested, and they're in the demographic. You know, you want to be really intentional. You don't need to have a large group. You don't need to have a large audience. You need to have an engaged one. You need to have one that's likely to buy. Because those vanity metrics of large groups or lots of followers, those can be bought. And you can tell that with a lot of, especially in Instagram, where you can see that somebody has like thousands, like hundreds of thousands of followers, but they have maybe 2 likes on their pictures. Those people were buying. They were buying people. I know folks who, you know, have not a large following. That following converts. I did a virtual summit once, and I invited some people some of them who have pretty big followings, and I invited some people who had some good expertise but were a little bit smaller time. It was interesting to see that one woman who was, it was like a thing about life coaching in your life and stuff. One woman who had so many followers, who was constantly posting about her like 20 to 30K months and stuff like that. She did this program and she was a speaker. No conversions, nothing from her affiliate link at all. I had another person who was way newer to the scene with way less followers who had confidentially told me how much she was making a month, and it was not that. However, she had a hardcore, dedicated group of followers, and she actually made the most out of her affiliate link because she might have brought less people to the event when she was promoting it. However, they had a higher conversion rate than some of these heavy hitters that I invited. So that's the thing to think about. You don't need to have a big network. They just need to be engaged. And you can do that if you actually follow the tactics in this video. You make people feel like they're actually part of a group. You both add value and you let them add value. You actually make sure that it's all volunteers that you have into your squad and stuff like that. You're not like forcing people to join your group or whatever. And you make sure that it's fun and it's not just all about you all the time, because most people do not have the charisma to make, I guess, a cult. You know, you just got to make sure that you're actually adding value, people feel appreciated, and it's a fun environment where they get something, not just from interacting with you, but with other people in the group. And that is how you create a community that keeps growing leads for you, that acts as a street team, as your hype team, and goes out in the world and tells people about you. That is how you do it. Bam. Community building. It's an unsung part of a funnel, but it's definitely an important one. So that is the funnel fiesta for today. If you do have any questions, for folks watching on the replay, you can comment in the video. I will answer any questions. Keep in mind that you have until, the day after Christmas to watch all the videos, because I will end up taking these down. Just let me know that you're watching them. So I can track those metrics, and I can, if there's some people who are watching a lot of them, I might keep them up for a longer, but usually when I do extended video training series like this, they go into the vault, which is my course, so they're only available for free for a limited time. So make sure that you are actually watching the videos and implementing. I do these sort of things in this group because I want it to be a working group. I want you guys to take action and to get the results that come from action. Now, if you've been watching these videos all the way through, you've been implementing, maybe you've been lurking, but you're still doing the thing, let me know, because if you are ready to send leads to your funnel, I'm actually doing a boot camp. It's starting on the second week of January is when we start, but that's going to be a boot camp where we're going to go over your LinkedIn profile. We're going to create your content strategy. We are going to get yourself the connections that you need. Figure out what you need to do to actually master LinkedIn, start getting visible, landing clients, and making money there. So for all of you guys who have been doing the funnel fiesta, your funnel should be airtight. It's time to send leads there. So if you are ready for that, I'm going to drop the link into the comments. That is going to, the official launch is going to start, of course, after Christmas. But I'm letting people who actually get in and say yes to this before Christmas, they can get a 10-20% off. I'm going to post the link. You're not going to get that discount when you go to the page. Just write to me, let me know that you're down, PM me, and we'll get you the discount. That's an action takers thing. It's also for people who are paying attention. So if you are watching this video, then you know that you can get 20% off my LinkedIn Mastery Bootcamp, and that includes all 3 tiers, because I have 3 different price points for 3 different budgets. So this is a great idea for people, whether you want to do the VIP or the participant level. Let me know. All right, guys, I need to head on off, because it's nearly Christmas, and oh my gosh, I don't know about you, but I feel like I am stuffed to the brims with work. So thank you guys for watching. As always, I'm Sami Gardner, your LinkedIn and funnel specialist. Bye guys. Ciao.